Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the U.S. strategy to lead the world in advanced tech, specifically semiconductors, artificial intelligence, and the massive high-stakes race for quantum computing. We are looking at a fascinating geopolitical chess match that is literally rewiring the global economy. This isn't just about the tech inside your smartphone. It's a fundamental shift in how nations view national security, innovation, and interconnected global supply chains.
So here is our agenda. We're going to cover the global chip race, unpack the CHIPS Act, look into the small yard, high fence doctrine, explore the global ripple effect, and finally talk about navigating the tech future.
All right, Section 1, the global chip race. Let's set the stage and look at the stakes. Think about this. What exactly links global military dominance, AI supremacy, the future of quantum computing, and our global supply chains? Well, it literally all comes down to microscopic slivers of silicon. Advanced semiconductors are the backbone. Every major leap in AI, every next-gen defense system, and especially the hardware needed to scale quantum computers like superconducting qubits and cryogenic control systems relies entirely on this tech. Whoever controls the design and manufacturing of these chips inherently holds a massive strategic advantage. To give you an idea of how fiercely the U.S. is guarding this, just look at this recent quote from President Donald Trump regarding the export ban on NVIDIA's Blackwell chips. He said, "The most advanced, we will not let anybody have them other than the United States." It perfectly captures the current posture. We're talking about a highly targeted approach to keep top-tier capabilities, which are absolutely crucial for both advanced AI and future quantum systems, out of the hands of adversaries, preventing them from supercharging foreign military capabilities. Moving right along to Section 2, the CHIPS Act unpacked. You can't just restrict exports and call it a day. You have to build up your own backyard. Enter the CHIPS and Science Act. We are looking at a massive $50 billion injection into the Department of Commerce. And as you can see, the strategy is heavily weighted toward physical infrastructure, $39 billion straight into incentivizing domestic manufacturing facilities. But don't overlook that $11 billion carved out for R&D. That part is absolutely crucial for building a resilient supply chain and pushing forward the next generation of quantum hardware. And the reason for this massive investment is pretty clear. As highlighted by an Inspector General report, the U.S. has actually seen a steep decline in its leadership when it comes to physical semiconductor manufacturing over recent decades. The CHIPS Act provides direct funding, loans, and cooperative agreements to basically rebuild this entire ecosystem from the ground up. By 2030, the goals are incredibly ambitious. We're talking leading-edge logic clusters, high-volume advanced packaging, and memory production. But a real standout here is this $3.5 billion secure enclave. This is a dedicated, secure supply of leading-edge semiconductors built specifically for the Department of Defense and the intelligence community. It just highlights how deeply intertwined advanced manufacturing, which again is essential for things like quantum photonics and control electronics, is with national security. All right, Section 3, small yard, high fence. So if the CHIPS Act is the domestic carrot, let's talk about the international stick. Back in 2022, former National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan outlined the small yard, high fence doctrine. The core idea was to identify a small, very specific set of futuristic technologies, think advanced AI and the race for quantum computing, and build a massive, high fence around them to prevent adversary access. But in reality, analysts point out that the definition of national security has expanded, making that small yard wide enough to cover entire, complex global supply chains. You can actually watch this fence get built over time. The Bureau of Industry and Security, or BIS, has been steadily escalating controls. They started with sweeping rules in October 2022, but tech moves incredibly fast. So by October 2023, they had to establish new performance density thresholds. Why? Because buyers were just scooping up large clusters of slightly less powerful chips to bypass the rules. Then, by December 2024, they updated restrictions again to include software and metrology. It's kind of like a high-stakes game of regulatory whack-a-mole. And it's not just about one or two countries anymore. These rules affect roughly 40 nations. They've created strict tiers. Exports to prohibited countries face an immediate presumption of denial, while restricted countries face heavy licensing requirements. They're even tracking the ultimate parent company of a buyer. That way, a prohibited entity can't just set up a shell company or a server in an unrestricted country to run their quantum algorithms or train AI models in secret. Which brings us to Section 4, the global ripple effect. So what actually happens when you suddenly drop high walls across deeply interconnected global markets? Well, independent research like this New York Fed study highlights a massive complication. It points out that sweeping export controls risk seriously crippling American technology leaders. U.S. companies have historically dominated the manufacturing equipment market, but if you lock them out of global markets, you slash their revenue. And less revenue means smaller R&D budgets, which they absolutely need to stay ahead in the quantum and AI race.
The unintended consequences are really stacking up. These high fences are actually accelerating the push for foreign domestic alternatives as other nations race for technological self-reliance. And we're also seeing direct geopolitical retaliation. For example, in April 2025, Beijing implemented an aggressive licensing regime on rare earth minerals. These elements are absolutely vital for U.S. defense, commercial production, and advanced electronics, creating a huge, costly scramble to duplicate those rare earth supply chains.
Meanwhile, the broader market is just adapting. Take ASML, the major European equipment manufacturer. Despite all these U.S. export rules, they still expect their 2025 net sales to hit between 30 and 35 billion euros. Why? Because the fundamental global demand for wafers and microchips is just that strong. The global market is geographically diverse and remarkably resilient. If demand gets blocked in one region, it simply shifts and pops up in another.
Let's wrap things up with Section 5, Navigating the Tech Future. We are at a pretty critical crossroads here. How do governments balance national security with a thriving, innovative ecosystem? Analysts suggest a few things. First, narrow that definition of national security so it targets genuine risks instead of blanketing entire supply chains. Second, keep sustaining those domestic CHIPS Act incentives. Public funding and private investment really have to work together. Finally, encourage regional innovation clusters to link chip production directly with next-gen fields like quantum computing and facilitate flexible international cooperation on AI governance.
This geopolitical chess match over advanced compute hardware and quantum supremacy is far from over. Today's quantum systems are still limited, and achieving large-scale, fault-tolerant computing is going to take a massive global effort. So I will leave you with this. Will these high fences ultimately protect American innovation, or will they just isolate it within a fractured global market? Definitely something to think about. Thank you so much for joining this explainer.